Good afternoon. Um, Today's topic is not so fun. I've had a really shitty night last night, and I wanted to share that with you, not because I want sympathies, but I want to share the fact that living as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, and running a business is not always the happy days that people make out to be. There's a lot of negatives that we're dealing with. You know, it could be negative clients, it could be people complaining, it could be bullies online, it could be family issues, relationship issues, like the list goes on and on and on. The fact remains that, you know, life is not a series of Kodak moments. It's actually a constant roller coaster of up and down, and running and building a business is the same thing. You know, sometimes you're on a high and sometimes you're on an incredible low. And I've had one of those incredible lows last night, and it was actually triggered by having a conversation with a friend who had split up from their partner of many, many years. And he didn't tell me, and I didn't know, and it made me really sad that, you know, his comment was that, oh, I thought you were too busy, you're always busy. And I pride myself on being an amazing friend and always being there for my friends. And so when I read that, it was really heartbreaking, because that's the least. That's not true, because I'm always there for my friends. And you know, and so to hear that is really hard, because I felt that I had failed my friend, and I certainly don't want to fail my friends. And then it's the other side of having friends, you know, having friends in business. Yeah, it's really tough. Like, some people betray you, some friends that you thought were some of your best friends end up betraying your confidence and your trust, and end up breaking promises, and it's really hard. And so I had a really a really bad night last night. There were lots of tears, and you know, I was questioning whether I was a bad friend, and I was questioning why, you know, after investing a lot of time, effort, money, um, and love and attention into business relationships, I end up being disappointed over and over and over again. And I had a really long conversation with John, and as usual, John was there to console me and look after me. And I feel better today, but you know, I felt really, really lonely last night and really sad. And I have a feeling a lot of business people are in the same predicament. You know, you're working away behind your computer, and if you're not in an area where you can hang out with other like-minded people in person, then it's really hard to run a business, because you might feel lonely. You know, I certainly feel lonely a lot of times when I'm in a different country and I don't have access to like-minded entrepreneurs, and you know, I don't have that opportunity. So that's the downside of traveling around the world and being able to skip around countries and places and hop around, which is what we want to do. But the downside is that I don't have access to a ready-made business community where I have really great friends that support me no matter what. And so, you know, when you travel, people tend to get jealous about your lifestyle, and they are distancing themselves because you remind them of what they're dreaming to do. And you know, like they just shun your relationship and shun your friendship, and eventually they disappear. And you know, it's fine, because some friendships are not meant to last for life. A lot of friendships are only meant to last for a certain time. So the lesson in that is, you know, like, if you are feeling betrayed by a friend, or you're feeling that you have betrayed a friend, or you just feel downright lonely in your business, just know that you're not alone. There is people like you out there right now who are feeling the same thing. And I think the best thing we can do to serve these people and to connect with these people is to share our experiences, and, you know, help them understand that they are not alone. So that's what I want to do with today's life. My intention is to share the down moment that I felt last night, and how I'm dealing with that. And the way I'm dealing with it is having long conversations with John, and I had a really nice conversation with another friend today, and it helped me realize that it's I've done nothing wrong. I'm a great friend. I'm an awesome friend. If I'm to blame for anything, it's probably being too generous, because I've been taken advantage of again and again and again. And my lesson, my takeaway is to really stop just being generous for the sake of being generous, because that's who I am, and that comes from being a pleaser from way back. And maybe to an extent, I still try and please friends by being generous. So I'm taking away another lesson here, but certainly we need to communicate. We need to communicate and reach out to our friends. And if we have a gut feeling that something's not right, then we need to communicate and reach out to them, because I had a gut feeling about my friend, and I never did anything about it, because I didn't want to impose, right? So there is a line between imposing and actually being there as a friend. So that's my life for today. It's a bit more somber. Hopefully, I will feel better tomorrow. But yeah, you have a wonderful day, and I hope that this is helpful in some way or form. All right. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Bye.